right, so I'm going to show you how to do a visualization on your code base that can be very useful, especially if you're tackling, if you're newly in charge of a large amount of repositories. It might be useful to kind of get a bird's eye view of your code. So you can do so by running a recipe called Embeddings, which is right here. To get the visualization, you have to run it on methods. So for this use case, let's use it on OpenRewrite, which has all of the different repositories that compose OpenRewrite. So while I run it, I'm going to give it some, it's going to take a little bit of time because it's actually calling an AI model to get these embeddings. And let me explain to you what an embedding is. So basically, text is a hard thing to manipulate, and while us humans are very good at it, computers need a little bit more help. So what is an embedding? An embedding is a vector representation. So what an embedding model will do, it will take text as input and will give you a vector of numbers, which you want that embedding to intelligently represent what the text is actually conveying, or what it means, basically. So because these embeddings, these numbers, they represent something, you can then project them into a 2D plane and actually see when there's stuff that are similar to one another, because they'll literally be closer. So that's what we did in the visualization. Okay, great. So now that it's done running, and it's normal that it takes a little bit, this is an AI model, so it has to go see also every method definition in your code. So the more methods you have in your code, the longer it'll take, but that is expected. Once you're ready, you can go ahead in visualizations and click run visualization. So what this does in the background is it goes inside your code, looks at every method definition, passes that to the AI model, gets the embedding, and stores it into a data table. Data table, like a CSV file. And what this visualization does is it goes and grabs this data table with all the embeddings and is then able to do a 2D projection of these embeddings. What I mean by 2D projection is that it uses an algorithm called uniform manifold approximation and projection. So what this algorithm does is that it takes the embedding, which is longer than 2, so X and Y, it has a lot more numbers in every embedding, and is able to get a Y and an X just for that embedding, basically. You can use other algorithms for that. There's tsne, which is also a very popular algorithm in case you wanted to write a similar visualization. UMAP is a little bit faster and it gives good results. Once we have this projection, we can also go and find basically clusters. So you'll use a clustering algorithm. There are many out there and they all have their strengths for depending on what scenario or how the data looks. In this case, we use k-means, which is usually the algorithm that people start with. And what it does, basically, it goes and finds clusters. So it goes and finds regions where the different data points are all close to each other. So if you look at this little blob here, we get a bunch of similar method definitions. And indeed, they're all the ones that go and get display names. So again, we're looking at OpenRewrite code. So it's a lot of Java classes that extend from recipes. So there's going to be some repetition in the name of the methods, but each one of these are different, actually. So you got all the get display names that are right here. Here you have all the get descriptions that are right here. So what if we look at this here? Here we got all the defaults methods. If we look here, I wish this was a little bit better of a visualization. Here you have all the get tags, everything that has to do with sets. Here you can kind of see the viewing. A lot of methods that start with is are going to be together. And so here you have the methods with the different visitors. You have the matcher visitor, and you get some other, which are get visitors, which is a very common method also, and basically does a visitor design pattern inside the recipes. If you go here, you see a lot about types and matching. Here, after and before are right next to each other because even though they can be thought as opposites, they're similar in what they convey, which is an order. So you'll have after and before that's next to each other. A lot of the gets are here. They probably have very different code inside of them. So that's why you would have them a little bit more spread around than you have here, all the get display names that are very similar to each other. Let's see if I can find another fun bunch. All the validates are here, and all the visit methods is a method. Things that have to do with methods are over here. Basically, it gives you a bird's eye view of your code and find if there are a bunch of method invocations that are similar to one another. And this is a good first tool to use if ever you don't know what the repos have. And if you want to find patterns in between them, this is a good way to start. Of course, this is ran on OpenRewrite, and so our code is built in a very specific manner. And as you see, you have all the get displays, all the get descriptions that clearly show a picture that this is how our code is designed. And this is by design that it's like this. But I ran it on some other code base. And you could see all the internet calls were on one side. It was really cool to basically get an idea of like, okay, so what kind of methods could I find in this code? And basically helps you do this pretty quickly.
To learn more about Moderne and OpenRewrite, check out our documentation.